Welcome to 032 Conversations, the podcast where we talk to creatives, see how they live, and how they do their work. I'm your host, Carlo Villarica. I apologize if the audio sounds a little bit different. I'm recording it now in an undisclosed location. No, I just couldn't bring my stuff when I went on the plane, so I just brought my simple recorder. I didn't want to bring my microphone and wires just to record an intro. Yeah, so I'm just recording straight to the, I don't know what this thing is called. It's a Zoom H5. It's a Zoom H5 handy recorder if you guys are interested. I recommend this if you want to start a podcast. Go ahead. Yeah, so it sounds a little bit different than usual, but let's make do with what we have. A few months ago, 032 hosted a showing for Superpsychocebu. And I got to learn a little bit about, first of all, Superpsychocebu. It's like we'll talk about it more in the podcast. It's a stoner movie filmed in Cebu. This guy is looking for weed, and this is a story about his journey looking for weed. And through the movie, I got to learn a little bit more about Christian Linaban. Christian and I went to high school together, but he was like a few batches older, so I never really got a chance to talk to him until we started talking about hosting a show for Superpsychocebu. And then I got to talk to him, and then I learned a lot about his story. And I also, although I already knew his accolades. Like, he is actually a really well-known filmmaker in Cebu. He's worked in many of the feature-length films, and he's won a few awards. Like, he won a Manila International Film Festival Shorts Competition for his film called Doctora. And I think he's really well known for this one too. He won a Gawad Urian Award for Best Cinematographer for Ang Damgo ni Eleuteria. And he's been nominated several times. The cinematography in particular for Ang Damgo ni Eleuteria, we'll talk about that as well, but he won Best Cinematographer. And then the notable thing about that movie was that it was shot all in one take. So he was holding the camera and then not pressing stop for like an hour and 30 minutes or something. And he talks about the process of shooting that movie as well in this conversation. In fact, we go through a lot of topics in this conversation. It starts off with a little bit about nutrition. For levels, what I usually do is I like to ask what they have for breakfast, and his answer was particularly interesting. So we talked a little bit about that, and of course we talk about the movie industry in Cebu, or the movie industry in the Philippines in general. And in the end of the podcast, I did not expect, but we started talking about weed, marijuana, and its current state in the Philippines. And there was a lot of films mentioned. Many of the films I have not seen, and I'll do my best to look for the trailers, to look for if the film is online. I'm going to share it in the show notes. Try to share as many things in the show notes as I can. So many of the filmmakers, cast members, whoever who are mentioned, I'll look for them and try to share whoever I can in the show notes. So check out the show notes. It's on the website. The full show notes is always on 032.com/podcast, and then you can just look for any of the shows that we've done, and they all have show notes. We work pretty hard to keep the show notes there. And in the end of this podcast, I'm also going to post a portion of the Q&A that we recorded, a live Q&A that we recorded after the film showing of Superpsychocebu. So some people from the audience asked Christian questions. So that's going to be there in the end of the podcast. If you've been listening to this podcast for a while now, we're going on almost 30 episodes, which is crazy. I believe this Christian Linaban episode is episode number... Wow, this is episode number 29. And it's a lot of episodes. And if you've been listening for a while, and if you want to hear more from me, Every Monday, I release a newsletter called Monday Musings. It's basically an email that I send out every Monday of stuff that I found on the internet that I find interesting. So you can access it on 032.com/Monday. And if this is your first time to listen to the podcast, please subscribe. We have new episodes every Tuesday. So yeah, let's get the newsletter on Monday and then a new episode of 032 Conversations on Tuesday. And while you're at it, why don't you just buy a t-shirt? A 032 shirt. Alright, let's go to the episode. This is my conversation with Christian Linaban.
Mic test. Mic test.
Yeah, sige, I just need you to talk a little bit, so I'll ask you, what do you have?
I'm talking.
Oh yeah, what do you have for breakfast?
I don't eat breakfast. I only eat once a day.
Really?
For lunch, yeah.
Only once a day?
Yeah, I've been doing it for like a year and a half already.
Wait, is this an intermittent fasting thing?
It's more than intermittent fasting. I think intermittent fasting is 16 hours, and this is like 23 hours.
Bitaw?
Yeah.
So you eat like one giant meal per day?
It used to be like, when I started, it was one giant meal. But now, I just I just eat a meal a day. And it sustains me. Even like the next day, I'm not hungry. Right before I eat, I just eat because I know I have to.
Bitaw?
Yeah.
So lunch?
I eat lunch, yeah. There are some exceptions. Maybe mag-snacks ko once in a while. But most of the time, I eat lunch.
Wait, I'm curious ko.
And actually, it mas lagsik ko. It makes me healthier.
You feel less heavy.
Less heavy, and not to mention, I save money.
Of course, yeah, that's right.
Actually, the lesser calories you take, the longer your life is. That's a science fact.
Mo ba?
It's true for other animals also.
Well, I know good for me because I changed my diet. This might get cut out, but anyway, no. But like I changed my diet like the first like a year ago. We went to the States, me and my wife.
Yeah.
When I got back, I was 20 pounds over.
Oh, yeah.
That was the most I ever weighed.
Yeah, the States can do that to you.
Well, okay, bye, yeah. That was the most I ever weighed. And then I've never lost weight in my life.
Mm-hmm. Really?
So I really went.
You had to lose weight.
I was like, no way am I going to be 185 pounds or something, 190 pounds. No way, di ko masugot ba.
Yeah.
And then, so I did this like slow carb diet. But basically, I found out that the less I eat, especially if I'm not eating carbs or sugar, no, I felt really good.
Yeah.
Really good. So you're feeling the same thing.
Same thing, yeah. Sa katong Shabang team last year, I was one of the fastest, you know.
So you were already doing it last year.
I was like 1 year and a half na ko. Like this.
You didn't feel any
no fatigue.
Well,
actually the opposite. Mas kuan ko. It's because your stomach is kuan, it's not working anymore. So it focuses on other things. Your body can focus on other things.
No?
Yeah,
and then just regular meals. So you don't... Do you cut out...
I'm vegetarian, by the way.
Oh, yeah. No, yeah. That's right.
Yeah,
You're vegetarian,
right.
Pagid.
I think it's because vegetarian ko for almost 15 years na. And like, my metabolism is pretty slow. So if I eat twice a day, I grow fat. So, manay ako normal.
Okay. So you're vegetarian. So you're eating like... Okay, some people, they say no carbs and like,
oh, yeah. I eat carbs. I eat sugar.
You eat carbs, sugar.
Yeah. Just no meat.
No?
Yeah. And I'm trying to transition to vegan, which is hard. But
yeah, vegan is hard because...
Yeah, everything has milk and eggs. Especially if you're into like sweets.
Actually, ang problem sa vegan is also, it's harder not to get protein all of a sudden.
Well,
I think.
I read that you don't really need a lot of protein. That's like a myth though. Like how much you weigh, that's how much grams protein you need. And the verify ko niya.
You have to get 100 grams of protein, which is not a lot.
It's not a lot though.
I
have a friend, a bodybuilder, si Sexy Samson ba? Remember him?
Oh yeah, the guy in the movie.
Yeah, he tried it. He thought it wasn't true nga. You needed so much protein. Pero ni-try siya nga, wala kayo siya nag-protein. And nibok gyapon siya.
Mo ba? So that guy is really a bodybuilder.
Yeah, he is. Yeah.
Really is.
That's why I got him. But karon actually mas sexy na siya. He's thinner. He's thinner, mas
chiseled na siya.
Mas chiseled na siya. In fact, somebody's writing a sequel daw. Siya ang gada.
Just for him? Like
Yeah,
based
like
on
a
the
spin-off, like a
based on
Sexy
Super
Samson.
Psycho.
Yeah.
Okay, let's talk about let's talk about the well, why I'm here in the first
Okay.
place. No? Kanang well, di ba, I sent you a message by, no? And then I asked you what you want to talk about, and then you mentioned like history of film in Cebu.
Oh yeah. I don't know. The a professor in USC, C. Paul Grant, they called us the old guard in Cebu.
Kamo.
Yeah, which is funny because like, oh really? I'm like the old generation of filmmaker in Cebu.
Yeah, because which is weird because you graduated maybe I don't know.
2004, I think 2004.
Yeah, so like
Yeah. And I
less
started.
than 15 years ago.
Yeah. So actually, this is dili siya humble, guys. More of a fact. Like before, me and my colleagues, si Remton, si Roland Puesto, Victor Villanueva, Keith Deligaro, we all started around the same time.
Mm.
And ato nga time, nobody was making like serious film in Cebu.
I guess it also makes sense because early 2000s it was
It was,
difficult
yeah.
because cameras were really expensive.
Well, that was the
film.
start nga kuan nga pwede na mag-film with cheap cameras.
I think that
It
was the
a
start.
yeah, that's why.
I
But
guess it
before
makes
that,
sense.
do you know that kuan film industry in the Philippines started in Cebu though?
MOBA?
Yeah, and there were two film industries before, Cebu and Manila, but Cebu died out because of no capital. And basically people were moving to Manila.
Well, they
Yeah.
became the
So
capital.
before there was like a thriving film industry here. That's why there are. I don't know if you heard of these people who keep claiming to revive the film industry in Cebu, because there was once like a golden age.
Oh, yeah, can you talk about that a little bit?
I'm not an expert, but I know a couple of people who wrote books about it. A book about it.
What
I
book?
think it's called Lilas by Misha Anisinov and Paul Grant. These are Americans, and it's funny
really?
funny how it took Americans to foreigners to get interested in our film culture.
So I'll see if I can search that online.
I think around the 70s, siguro to. I'm not really sure. I'm not a scholar, but I can say like after that there was nothing until we came along.
MOBA.
Yeah.
So you don't even know any films at the time. Like you're not sure.
There was this one filmmaker. I forgot his name. There was one filmmaker trying to make films before us, but it didn't really get a wide audience. It never got distributed well. Pero I think the first Cebuano film that was produced since the Golden Age was Confessional. Don't know
Oh
if you
yeah,
heard of
that's
that.
right.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
want to watch that. I've seen it. You can
Yeah.
get it in Amazon. Actually,
It's in Amazon.
Murag, yeah, I think
So
you
that was
can.
in 2007, and we were, since ang grupo sa film ato nga time gamay ra kayo, we sort of all helped make that film, and it was directed by Ruel Antipuesto and Gerald Tarog, who's the director of Henry Luna. Like he went on to do big movies na, but he started here in Cebu.
Okay, yeah, and then.
And then after that, like 2010, we
Well,
made.
just sorry. So confessional. It's like correct me if I'm wrong, now because I haven't seen it. But it's like a film docu type.
Yeah, it's a mockumentary.
Mm.
Yeah, it's about this guy from Manila who comes to Cebu to be part of the Sinulog documentary contest. But in the process, he sort of dug up dirty stuff, dirty info, and got to interview this corrupt mayor who feels like he's gonna die. So he tells him everything about the system, the political system here in Cebu, or in the Philippines, sort of like that.
Sige, but like I wonder if that's out on the internet now.
I don't know if it's in Amazon. It's
because,
under Cinema One.
Because the thing when they with the one that I was thinking under Amazon was there was that Arnis movie.
Oh yeah, that one also, Escrimadores. I think
Escrimadores,
that
I got it
went
mixed
out
up.
after Confessional.
After
I think,
Padena.
I think it's 2009. I'm not sure.
Okay, that one was more docu.
Yeah, it was docu.
That
yeah.
one was documentary. Good. Okay.
And I think that premiered here in Cebu.
Mm.
Like it's the first time like a film in Cebu premiered here. Since the old days. Oh, kana.
So those were like, as far as you can remember, those were the first two films probably.
Yeah, two films.
Oh, and then you guys even helped out.
Yeah, we helped out. Yeah, it's a small community here.
Mm.
By the way, this confessional was by Cinema One, and that's like a grant giving body in Manila. It's under ABS actually. It's like the indie arm of ABS. And so that the budget was 1 million at the time.
So like Cinema One, every year they have like some sort of contest, ba na
Yeah,
siya?
yeah. It's a grant. Like you pass your scripts, and they like choose 10 films to give money to. And ever since 2010, there always has been a Cebuano film. So, yeah. So 2010, we made Ang Damgo ni Eleuteria by Remton Zuasola. And I shot that, and it's shot in one long take, and
It's one long take.
no cuts.
Let's not. I don't wanna just skip over this, huh? So it's a full length movie.
yeah.
The movie's like an hour and 30 minutes
yeah.
long.
Hour
And
30
then-
minutes long.
And then you were the videographer,
yeah,
and then Remtom was the director,
yeah, director.
and then it honestly I really want to see it. I just know I know about it because it's
yeah,
it's like a feat,
yeah.
because it's an hour 30 minutes, no cuts. You were running around with the camera, with the actors, actresses. I'm sure there was months and months
Yeah.
of rehearsals.
No, actually, we probably had one day of rehearsal.
Really?
Yeah, and the film was all improvised. So I never
that's
I
cool,
never
huh?
knew what would happen every time we had a take. Like each take was different. And I had the sound team behind me, so I had the boom guy and the recordist, and I had like assistants. So I was like a snake. Like I was walking backwards for 90 minutes, and I didn't know what was gonna happen. So I told everybody behind me, like, wherever I turn, you turn.
Oh,
So,
really? It was
we
kind of
never-
improv. So
It's
there
all
was
improv, yeah.
obviously there was a script. The story was there,
Yeah, there
but
was an
like
outline, yeah.
but more or less the.
That's how Rampton works. Let me backtrack.
Cool.
Before that, we were making a lot of short films because our goal was to make a feature, but since we didn't have the money, so we made a lot of short films, and I made a lot of short films with Rampton. And the thing about Rampton, he's from theater, and I call him Mr. Chaos. He's a chaotic director, which is fine by me because I can work that way also. Like he never puts me. He never joins me in rehearsal. So when I shoot it, I'm seeing it for the first time. Like I'm the first.
It's new to you.
Yeah, I'm the first audience, so I just react with my camera. So that's how it works before. I don't know now.
Yeah, because I was gonna say that this Damgo ni Eleuteria,
Yeah.
no, was it has to be done in a theatrical. It has to be like theater.
Yeah. Because of the form. Yeah.
Mm.
Actually, 2009, I think, we shot a short film. My first collaboration with Rempton, we shot a 26-minute long take.
Oh yeah.
Like it's a short film.
What's it called?
To Show My Love. I don't know.
Yeah. That one I've
You've seen
seen.
that.
That was
You've
really
seen-
good.
Yeah. So have you noticed that there were like no cuts too?
I did when I was watching it. I did not realize.
But
na wala
afterwards,
cuts.
yeah.
No, I mean I haven't. I think I saw it. Manggod nga murag. I wasn't thinking. I'm not thinking. I wasn't thinking about the technical aspect of it. I was
That's
just
good
watching
actually,
it.
because
Bitaw,
if you can
exactly.
notice it, then we didn't do our job well. Yeah.
No, that was one whole take. The eye.
Yeah, actually, we put a cut in the end because if you remember the ending, it was it was a circle.
Okay, I watched this years ago.
Yeah,
Na. Just
we
for
just
the,
put one cut in the end.
Just
to
for the
hide.
listener, Mark, Show My Love. Where it's like, this group of friends they get together in this Show My place, diba?
Yeah, it's basically a guy who just got brokenhearted because nabogan siya, and he lives behind the Siomai sa Tisa. So he goes out to eat and meets a nursing student, a pretty nursing student.
Yeah, it was
Yeah.
what's her name? She's like
Si
a beauty.
Donna, yeah.
Yeah.
She also starred in Eleuteria. Si Donna
okay.
Jimeno. So yeah, that's actually the first short film we tried to send to Manila we sent it to Cine Manila, which was a film festival at the time. Wala na karon, pero it was prestigious before. And it won. It won best short film and best there's Ismael Bernal award for best new filmmaker. So Rampton won both awards, and won the Gawad Urian for short film also. And the Gawad is more like the Oscars in the Philippines. So not bad for a first try. And because of that, he had a name, so he was given money to make Eleuteria. And he made...
That was through Cinema One also?
Cinema One, yeah.
So, 1
so when he
million...
applied to Cinema One, people knew him already. Oh, that guy who made that one long take film. So,
which I think is kind of a requirement. Like, diba?
Yeah,
like you
yeah.
need to
You
show...
need to show your short films are your like real, it's
your like you can show
portfolio,
people that you can actually do the work because the full length.
Yeah, because if you have a good script, how do they know that you can to do it well, right? So
yeah,
you have to have a sample.
In terms of like the differences between a short film and a full length, but it's basically the time. It's basically how long.
It's different. Like for me, a short film can be like a song, but a feature is like an album.
Okay.
So it's different. Like a short film is, it could be just like an arc. But if a feature, you have to like have so many arcs within your.
And then there's characters that you can develop and everything.
Yeah.
No. Okay, so he sent. So that was one of the first that you guys worked on.
Yeah, and it won lots of awards. So we got to do the Eleuteria thing, and actually, he thought it was a failure. So what happened was we shot for 3 days, and I told them that we could only shoot twice a day, like one in the morning and one in the afternoon. So the light is good, and I would have the lunchtime to rest.
Oh,
yeah. But
everybody needs to rest. It's like an hour, 30
needs to rest.
minutes.
Yeah.
Just straight.
Yeah. So and every take it's different because Rempton he goes in and whispers to me what's gonna happen. He whispers to the actors to just go in. Everybody just reacting.
Like off screen. He's not.
Yeah, off screen. Yeah. So we really don't know what's gonna happen,
Really
which is fun. Yeah. So the last day we were supposed to leave in the afternoon because there's no like evening boat because we shot in Olango Island, so we had to take 2 takes in the morning. So by the second take, I had bruises in my back.
Oh yeah,
yeah.
It's a big camera.
I don't know. I've been walking backwards for 3 hours, over 3 hours actually. Like the story is like it starts in the mangroves, and she walks all the way to the port in Olango. It's a long walk actually. It's 1 hour walk.
Yeah, I guess.
Yeah. So yeah,
and I guess she meets all these characters on the way there.
Yeah, on the way there. Yeah. Telling her not to go, bidding her goodbye, and all that stuff. So yeah, I like when we cut, people had to pry the camera off my hands because it's stuck.
Like you're...
Yes, I've been holding it firmly for like 3 hours. So people had to pry it out. So and I sort of lie down on the floor. Yeah, and the irony is, Rempton thought it was a failure.
Why, man?
When he showed it to Cinema One, they said they didn't like it.
Oh yeah?
They said kung padayon ka ni Rem, maguba imong career.
Really?
And I was like, no, Rem, ganang barugi. It's fine. I think it was me, Donna, and Ara telling him like, it's fine. You don't need to change it. Then, pero wa man good kuan. He himself thought he could do better. Ano man ginang director because you see your vision ba.
But wait, this is the ones giving him the money to do it. They're the ones telling him we don't like it.
Yeah.
Which is hard
but they
to
gave
swallow.
Him that's hard to swallow. And they did give him the choice. If you're gonna go through with this, we're just gonna warn you that maguba imong career. You're up and coming. So ang gibot ni Rempton, he spent his own salary to shoot 1 more day.
Really?
So we shot 1 more day in a different place. Nausab na sa dang storya. This time there was encantos and there was a lot of mud. And natimingan man good, we were shooting beside the river and it was raining, so it was really muddy. So it's hard to walk around. So that we only had 1 take that day and a slide bagid ko sa end because of the mud. So it ended with the camera falling and me screaming curses in the air. So wala siya. It was a failed.
So that last take you guys didn't use. That wasn't the one.
Huh?
Was that the one?
We used the last take in Olango, but we had 1 more day shoot nga palpak.
Kato the pinaka-last ba?
Yeah, pinaka-last. The one he spent his own money to shoot.
Oh
Wala
my
good.
gosh.
Matod pa ni Ruel, he did sound for that shoot. Yun siya, team building may kuno to. So we were stuck with this take nga kuan yung ganahan, which he didn't like.
Time out. Wait. So how many times did you guys shoot it all in all?
In Olango, we had like 6 takes. 2 shots per day. For 2 takes per day.
So 3 days.
And there were some takes nga na kuan na putol, like there was one take nga we were at the pier, we were about to finish and it rained.
Okay.
And because improv, our thought nga di madayon og larga si Eleuteria because she thought kang people would just improvise nga ayaw di na mo larga, but no, mabasa mang equipment, so we had to cut.
Okay.
And and
so when you say 6 takes, like some of it like was for the 20 minutes lang, and then we're like, di mada, so
kuan. Yeah, there was some 6 full takes.
6 full takes.
Yeah,
good.
and ang ending different. There was like domino effect, my good. If somebody changes something and people react, it's a domino effect. So sometimes the ending changes.
Bitaw?
Yeah, so but he likes the last take best. So moto among gipas, and when we went to the festival, kami ra ang mga Cebuanos. We didn't have any like networks.
What year was this?
It was 2010.
2000. So that was the first year, and
The first year we tried the feature.
Okay.
Yeah. So dito kay wala gid way kailan na mo, and our film was so below the radar. Because sa maning Bisaya nga salida, And then we thought people didn't like it, and sa screening but yun na technical difficulties. We couldn't show the high res, so what we showed was a DVD. So we thought it was a disaster, but after the screening, people liked it, and we won that year. We won jury prize sa Cinema One. So para na mo, okay, not siya, we won something. So it's not a total failure.
Yeah, what did you win? Jury
prize.
What
It's like a special prize sa mga jury. Like they like this film, but they don't want it to win like best film, just to say that it's special. So we got a jury prize. Yeah.
Oh, so of course the ones doing the jury, they're the judges.
Yeah, they're judges.
Okay.
Yeah.
So the jury. What a weird. So anyway, so the jury, they're the ones. So they're not really necessarily part of Cinema One. They're not the ones who give the money.
No.
No?
They just take like prestigious film people.
That must have felt really good.
Yeah, it felt good. Knowing that it dili siya failure. But then the twist is we got nominated sa Urian. It's like like I said, it's like an Oscars in the Philippines. And it won Best Picture sa Urian.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and it won the Best Director. It gave me a Best Cinematographer award. And Best Music, Not bad for a first try and for something we thought was a failure, di ba?
Yeah.
And fast forward to now, like we get these blogs from, ng mga top Filipino films of the 21st century, and we're number 2. Like Terry is number 2, and there's another blog like top 100 Filipino films, and then we're 101. Like people think it's a great film, and actually I watched it again, and it aged well. Ato nga time, I remember kuan mo gud bago pa ko nakashoot niya. We think it could be better, but like a lot of people think it's a masterpiece. Yeah, makatawa ko nga kuan aksidente raman ayo man nagituyo.
Yeah,
like it could just take one thing that could go wrong.
And no, also after you did everything, and then you got the feedback from the studio.
Yeah.
I mean, imagine if you did it again, you changed the whole story, and then that went well, quote unquote.
That went well, yeah.
And then that's what you used.
Yeah.
It's so many things literally could have gone wrong.
Yeah.
Not just in the filming, but even after the filming, and then it just shows how fickle it really is, ba? No?
Yeah. And you can never really tell, no? Kung say reception sa film.
So that was in 2010.
Yeah, and that same year, I made Doctora, which I showed. And I showed it in Cinema Manila. It also won me a Ishmael Bernal Award, like a Best New Filmmaker.
Oh, okay.
So...
Yeah, that one was kind of like creepy.
Yeah, that was my art film.
And my cousin was, she watched it, so in the showing. And she's like, yeah, whenever those like 2 characters came out, I was like, oh my god, I can't watch it anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, but That's pretty.
That one I shot that with no script. Like I just told some actors, let's shoot a short film, and they were like, "What's the story?" I'm like, "I don't know. We'll figure it out on the way."
Really?
Yeah. So we just went out and just shot stuff, and it was interactive because like while we're shooting, people would say, "Oh, maybe the story could be like this, it could be like that."
Yeah,
And
it was my because let's get to Super Psycho Cebu because like one of my just for the listener, Super Psycho Cebu is a film that you shot. When was this? Like 3 years ago, or released 3 years
3 years
ago?
ago, yeah,
And
we
then
started shooting.
it's basically this guy who wants to look for weed. It's his
Mostly-
journey looking for weed called
Yeah,
Super
yeah.
Psycho Cebu.
That's basically the stoner
That's
film
the
premise.
yeah, and then so she was wondering that, well, was there any like improvisation there in that film? And then I mean, I obviously I didn't know the answer, no, but basically since you told me about Damgo Lottery, like in my
Yeah.
head, I would have thought that was super scripted
Yeah.
as opposed to super.
Actually, that was
improvised.
super scripted.
The
That was
Super Psycho was
scripted.
super
Yeah,
scripted.
yeah. So 90% of that was scripted. A lot of people ask me if we were stoned while shooting. And
because that's a
I tell
common-
them, like, if that's true, then I don't think those kids can remember their lines. Because it was 90% shot. So,
Oh, and then like the actors and actresses, these are not professional
yeah, yeah.
actors
They're
and
not,
actresses.
yeah. They're actually a barkada. Like,
Okay.
yeah, I hired John, like the leading guy. And he had a barkada. They're called House Guapo.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because they used to live in one house. And surprisingly, his friends fit the profile of the other characters. Like there was a bodybuilder, there was a guy who was in a band, there was a guy who looks like Jesus who does cosplay.
Yeah, gamers at sila tanan.
They were all game because they were in a film club in UP.
Ah, okay.
Yeah,
So
a
they were
theater
really
film
into
club.
films and
Yeah, yeah,
good.
they're into that. But that was their first feature. Yeah, and we did a lot of rehearsals, workshops
Before doing the actual
before
shoot.
doing that. Yeah.
But that was you really spent time holding
Yeah,
skills
I have a lot
and
of
everything.
footage of them, like in rehearsal. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, we had to develop the voices for Sexy Samson. That was not really his voice, or the guy in the boat, Beauregard, that wasn't his voice. So we had to
Yeah, because
develop
these
the
are characters that you had in your head for.
Yeah, for
years,
like
diba?
years. Yeah.
So let's go back. So like Super Psycho Cebu, that's I think you've conceptualized that when you were in college. Am I correct?
Yeah. I spent 5 years in college for a 4-year course.
Okay.
And my 5th year I only had minors, so I had a lot of free time. So and I was really into films. I wanted to write a script. I had an idea for a script, and I wrote it with Nicolo Manrial, who's the owner of Rainbow Fish.
Rainbow
If you've
Fish,
been
oh.
married, then you know him.
He shot our wedding.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So yeah, tripping to Namo ni Nicolo. And at that time, it wasn't a stoner film. It was like a pretentious art film. And it's basically a reflection of what I've been reading during college, like a lot of spiritual occult stuff and philosophy and self-help books or whatever,
Yeah, because I mentioned it during the film, during the Q&A after the film. It's kind of like it's masquerading as a stoner film.
Yeah.
Right?
It's just like the outer, it's a packaging.
Oh.
Yeah.
So anyway, and then
So yeah, and all the characters I wrote for my friends, cause I couldn't hire anybody. Who was I, right? So I just dragged my friends into this project. So like that first guy was supposed to be Chester. That's why he sings a lot. We actually shot that. Chester Dagos, who's my bandmate before.
what first guy? The one in the mountain.
The one in the mountain,
one
yeah,
with
Pancho, yeah.
Yeah. The one without
But
a shirt.
in this reincarnation, he didn't have an assistant. He brought the guitar himself, and we actually shot that. Like I'm planning to do like scene comparisons. Like we actually have the same shots.
Really?
Like I used the same shots for the new movie and what we shot with Chester. Most of it, actually.
It's funny to me,
because you know him.
yeah. I mean, the audience will have a hard time grasping this, but I know Chester. Like I grew up with him, and then
Yeah. And it really suits. I wrote it for him. Yeah, and actually the name of the character before was Ricky because we call him Ricky Davao. He looks like Ricky Davao.
Oh, so
Yeah.
yeah, so even early on, you had film of him doing that
Yeah,
part.
and Luis also, Luis Cañete. We shot him playing Sexy Samson.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and he went through this workout phase, so I wrote that script, that character for him. And he's a very religious person. He's Roman Catholic, so I really wrote it for him.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So muna siya, and I was supposed to play Jesus.
Which one was Jesus again?
Yeah, the Jesus character.
The Jesus, yeah, obviously.
yeah.
Okay, yeah, the Jesus character. Oh,
That's why there's a lot of lines where he says like if waka kaayon ani hawa dire just or kuan.
nasa the line like I read the script. Dapat
Yeah,
short,
yeah, dapat
Rani.
short film really. Yeah. Those were my struggles. Like, is this really worth it? I'm just kanang. So the Satan was a manifestation of my pessimism, if this would work out or not. So, muna, we started shooting it, pero it fell through. I didn't fall through. And because we were amateurs, actually. And that was the reason why I went to filmmaking, so I can shoot that. And that's
So
how
you
I
could
met.
shoot Super Psycho. You
Yeah.
wanted so when you first did it with your friends,
It was called Bilar before.
amo ba?
Yeah, Bilar. Yeah, because it's about this guy who didn't sleep for a few days, and
But so when you had that idea in your head, you weren't at that point. You had no real experience yet.
yeah, no, a little is ako sa USC TV Arts class. That's actually where I first started toying with the medium. And lingaw man day, like I'm a film buff magud. I've been watching films a lot. And when I tried it, it came natural. So, moto, since then, I got hooked. I warn people who go into film, like, pagbanday it's addictive. You basically play God, and that's addictive.
Oh yeah, and then the well, I think the nice thing also, the thing with film is that you get to. It's this really long process, even if you're making like a 5 minute short,
yeah.
and
Di
then
siya lalim.
yeah, like
Yeah.
I mean, obviously there's so many different ways to do it, but
Yeah.
like there's like you can write every scene out, and if you do
Yeah.
that, that's a long
Yeah,
process.
it's a long process.
No?
Yeah.
It's like for the type of person who likes the whole like that really long process,
Yeah.
and is willing to wait and just do it, and then
There's a lot
see
of
it through
grit
in
under the
end.
glamour. Like, people go into film because ganan sila masika. They like the red carpet experience, but they don't know underneath all that it's a lot of hard work and despair
Oh
and
yeah,
sleepless nights. So if you really go into that, you better love it because
Bitaw.
it's not easy.
Did you have any experiences like that when shooting Super Psycho?
Super Psycho was really chill actually because it was a small crew. There were like 6 of us at most, plus the actors. So, and I engineered that to be, nga wala kay siya mga complications. So that was one of the chillest shoot we had.
Yeah, less moving parts.
Yeah. Less people and no divas.
Oh yeah,
Because
oh.
I handpicked my crew. Like, I've been working here for a long time, so I know which ones to get. So I actually called our crew the Avengers because like they were like the best of the best. Yeah.
Yeah, because I know that. So the one of the unique things about Superpsychocebu is that it's not owned by a studio.
Yeah.
You still own the rights.
Yeah,
You own
yeah.
everything.
Yeah.
Essentially. to
Well,
the film.
let me backtrack though. So we made Eleuteria in 2010.
Okay.
In 2011, there was like My Paranormal Romance. Have
My
you heard of
Paranormal-
that? Yeah,
yeah.
by Victor Villanueva. That's his first film. He made Cocina Kings now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just came out, diba?
Just came out. So that's a Star Cinema film, and he's actually the first Cebuano to make a Star Cinema movie.
Oh really?
Yeah, and that's a big budget movie too. And we also made that year. We made Dingo Nato, which is a zombie film also.
Yeah, I've seen that also.
Yeah, and that film is special because it's the first Cebuano film to have 1 year in theater, 1 week in the theaters, and it was successful. Budget.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
Dingo Nato.
Dingo Nato.
Really?
Yeah,
Oh.
and then the next year,
What
2013.
did you have to do with My Paranormal or Dingo Nato?
that year the crews were split because there was two productions.
Yeah,
This
there
was
were
all
two.
Cinema One, and they
Yeah.
were both Cebuano. So na split ang crew. I was nako sa Dingo Nato.
Dingo na to
I
ka.
was the
You're
cinematographer.
the cinematographer.
Yeah.
I remember that year because I think that was one of the first years where they had the Cinema One premiere ba to? Or they did the showing in
Yeah,
Cebu.
There was a Cinema One festival in Cebu.
Yeah, so I took the opportunity. I watched the
Yeah.
two films.
Yeah.
No, which
It's too bad you didn't watch Eleuterio. It was the opening film.
ay yeah, muna. I
Even
guess
the mayor was there.
I guess I think I couldn't I didn't know much about the scene at
Yeah.
all. Number one. And then number two, you only have so much time. So you take whatever you're free at this time, what's showing at this time.
Yeah.
Kane, Dingo Nato
Yeah.
and My Paranormal Romance. I mean, the My Paranormal, we were gonna watch that yun. So,
Yeah.
wala lang, plug. We have a song there.
Yeah, that's right. I remember.
No?
Yeah.
Yeah, and then so anyway,
Yeah, and then 13, I think it was 2011. That's when I made a feature under Cinema One. It's Aberia. Yeah. And so
11 sa ni?
12.
2012. You're the
Yeah.
only one from Cebu in 2012.
Yeah, 2012. It was my turn. And then 2013, it was Keith, I think. Keith's first time under Cinema One. Keith Deligero is like, he's the founder of Binisea Film Festival.
Okay.
And his films are very unique in a way. They're like barrio core. It's very, you have to see it for yourself. He has his own sensibility.
What was the film that he released?
It's called Iskalawags, I think. Yeah, he made Iskalawags 2013. But before that, he shot 2 feature films with his own money. So
okay.
before I did Super Psycho, he already did it first.
He already did that.
With 2 films.
2 films pa.
So actually, when I saw his second film, which was called Cordero na Diyos, it inspired me to do Superpsychocebu. Because, creative freedom, it's so punk, it's so DIY. It's such a statement to do it. So that's why I made Super Psycho. But 2013, he made Scalawags, which was critically acclaimed. Then 2014, Rampton made soap opera under Cinema One also. That's another. And then 2015 was Ara's turn. She made Miss Bulalakaw.
Miss Bulalakaw.
Yeah. And then
did that one? I think that one won some awards, about no.
Yeah, it gave Chai won Best Supporting Actress and Ara won Best Screenplay for that movie. And it's one of the most successful ones in Cebu because it keeps screening until now in Manila.
And it has like a snitch audience.
Yeah,
where they just watch
yes,
it.
a niche. Yeah, the pink audience.
The
Yeah.
pink audience.
Yeah, so mana siya. And then 2016, we finished Super Psycho. So, yeah, the idea was we could own this film because it's kind of frustrating. Like the Cinema One films, we don't own it. And there's a screening fee if we show it. So,
it's frustrating because like, we've talked about, even in the 30 whatever minutes we've been talking, you mentioned so many films.
Yeah.
And then I'm stopping myself from asking how do I watch that film?
yeah.
And then,
that's our problem though.
That's the problem.
That's such problem.
Diba?
Yeah.
Since most of these 80% of the films that you mentioned, the filmmakers don't actually own the rights to the film.
Yeah.
No? They get paid to...
Especially under Cinema One.
Oh, yeah. Oh.
Yeah. But there are other films that were not made under Cinema One. Like, we have this Adlaw Adlaw series. So Binisaya, every year they make... the first year we made Biernes, and the idea of this is like 7 directors. We make a short story, and we add them together to form one feature film. And the first time we did it was Biernes, the title, because it happens in a day, so it happens on a Friday. Then the next year, it's another batch of 7 directors, and it's Sabado. And then the next year, it's another batch of filmmakers, and it's Domingo.
So which ones have been out?
We're at Martes now.
Really?
I think this year they're trying to do Webes.
So that's like an independent.
Yeah, that's like Binisaya owns that. Yeah. And it's sort of like sampling, like who are the next generation filmmakers this year, you know. Like for the first one, it was Remton was there, Keith, me, Donna, Bambi from Kukuks. That was the first reincarnation, and then the second, pag Sabado, Ara was part of it. Patrick Tabada was part of it. He wrote Patay na si Jesus, and he also did feature with Cinema One last year called Si Apple at Si Chedeng, I think. So yeah, there are a lot of Cebuano films. They're like almost 30 features since 2007, huh?
Which goes to my main frustration about the whole genre, which is they're almost impossible to see.
Actually, the Adlo Adlo series, they're showing it every Monday in A-Space.
Really?
Yeah. So at least I think last Monday they showed Martes Martes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So it's there. It's underground.
But Mona, that's the thing. Like you have to be connected, like me. Like I didn't know that. Like you have to be connected to these things, and then it's just not like what I mean. I understand that there are cons to putting it online somehow, even if you put it on Vimeo for rent or whatever. No, well, yeah. How come most filmmakers here don't do that?
Well, the moment you put it online, you can't control.
Yeah.
Yeah, mapirate yun na siya. Which is good and bad. Like for example, Dingo Nato was pirated there was a time that one of our crew members went downtown and saw a DVD copy. And yun siya nga, kami ba gihimuan ni, and the ones selling it, di siya mutuo.
Well, for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, mo na siya. In the case of Superpsychocebu, that's where it's bound to be eventually. But I want to milk the screenings first.
Yeah.
Because there's value in not making it available because you really have to go there. You have to bring your ass to the bar and watch it.
But what I mean, like put it online. Not online, like just freely available.
Yeah, even if there's you pay for it, you can control.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Because sa Vimeo, I think there's either you rent it, where you can watch it for a limited time, or you buy it, which you can download the file.
Yeah, once it's out there, it's out there. Very similar. I mean, I just keep thinking about like the music.
Yeah,
it all started in the music. Right?
Yeah, music.
Really early 2000s, diba?
Yeah. Music, you can't make money out of records anymore. You have to keep like playing
live.
You have
to be playing live. Yeah. Well, they do. Like cents per listen.
Yeah. Well, not like before, like if matap ka sa Billboard and you made it.
well, there's an argument to be made for music. The thing with music is that before SAD, there was only a handful of artists who quote unquote made it. Mm-hmm. No, now you can be a working artist. You can have you don't need millions of listeners to have a career. In music, no?
You just need a good community.
Yeah, you need a community of people who are willing to pay.
Which sadly is not here yet.
Yeah, well, Cebu medyo liso. But I talk to a lot of musicians here. Because that's not, that's where I'm from. You too,
me too. Yeah, I started there.
You too, by the way. You should mention that. It was the band Shadowbox Serenade. I've seen you guys live. And then my favorite, because you guys were playing, diba? You have like you guys have like a YouTube video, diba?
Yeah, a couple. Yeah,
diba? Like,
I think we have 3 videos.
And then I think it's like a YouTube comment or something. Because si
Luis.
Luis was like a teacher in San Carlos or something. Yeah. We mentioned him like, so he was the guitarist of your band, son, and then somebody commented, "Sir, nitanaw bitaw sa inyong banda."
Plus points. Yeah, he's coming back next year to teach again. So masur na siya balik.
You mentioned. I wonder what he'll be up to when he gets
He actually messaged me saying he has a lot of material for another album.
Oh, yeah?
And I told him, too bad, man. I'm leaving Cebu.
You're gonna go to Manila?
Yeah.
which we'll get to. We'll get to that.
Yeah.
No, sorry,
Yeah, we're jumping all over the place.
I derailed our own conversation.
It's fine. Yeah, that's how conversations work.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's non-linear.
Where were we going?
This is an art film. So, let's go back to Super Psycho and how we made it. I just finished Iberia at the time. And the thing about grants is it's more of a marathon. It's like, it's not really filmmaking. It's sort of like make a film in 4 months or make a feature film in 3 months. And if you tell like Hollywood directors that's unheard of because they take 2 years to make films, you know? So it's really more of a marathon. So when I made Iberia, it's like there were so many compromises because we had to keep on moving because we were running out of money and time. And our last day was actually 36 hours. And that's like abuse to the crew, but props to them for not killing me. So but I was really I wasn't really happy with the project, so I really wanted to get the bitter taste out of my mouth, so I wanted to shoot something right away. And I found this dusty script, like 10 years old script, and I thought it was shit because an amateur wrote it, but it had some good parts, and I took all the good parts and packaged it in a stoner film. Because I also thought I wanted to do like a stoner film because nobody's done that here, and it's
different. Number one,
yeah, it's different. Like it's really gonna turn heads. Like it's stoner film, right? Yeah, there are a lot of drug films.
It's very easy
to sell. Yeah,
describe. Like, if somebody asks me about it, I can tell what it is in in a sentence.
Yeah, and I wanted to do it right away because maybe if I delay it, maligal na ang weed, so it wouldn't have as much impact. Mas taboo, it would have more impact if it was taboo.
Of course, you didn't know nga Duterte was going to become.
No, I did not know. Actually, a lot of people tell me that if I made that for Duterte, when actually I wrote it at the time of ERUP. You know?
It just so happened it came out more or less si Duterte.
Yeah. And I get questions nga, no, yellow ko na ang shirt. Is there a political, you know, na may political thing going on with the colors? I'm
really,
like, no.
No. Okay. And then,
so na timing lang yun to. And luckily, I found people who were willing to help and sacrifice for the shoot because I told them we're only going to shoot if I have money. And these guys have work and school, so we can only shoot on the weekends too. So the whole production took 2 years on and off. Like we shot for 15 days, I think, on and off. And which was frustrating because the story was 1 day, but we shot for 2 years. So I don't know if you noticed, but the weight of the main character changes.
Mo ba? You know, honestly, and then that was also the comment of my cousin. She was surprised that it took that long because to her it did not seem it didn't seem like it took it did not seem like it took 2 years to shoot. That's for sure.
Yeah.
Like
it took 15 days to shoot.
But like, the span of time.
Yeah.
Because I mean, now that you mention, maybe the main character gained some weight.
Yeah.
Maybe if I see it again,
maybe
I'll catch it. I'll be like, oh,
well,
okay.
I know it because I've been editing it, and all stuff. So, and we had to make sure the length of his hair is the same. So we need to like iparis pa namo yung kuwan. Yeah.
Oh, so it took about 2 years to shoot, but I guess at the same time, it's not a marathon. It's not.
No,
you didn't have
I
the
took all the time
of,
I needed. Like to color this movie, I spent like 2 months just to color it, man, and that's such a luxury.
But I must say, like, that the movie, but considering we can get to the budget later now, considering that you guys did it yourselves, and then the production, you didn't have a huge budget for it, but it looks like a very I don't know what the word is, but I'm just gonna say legit. It looks like a legit movie. Like the color is there. It's I wouldn't have thought it's an indie film.
Yeah.
Diba?
I have a hacker's mindset. I don't write code I don't know anything about computers, but a hacker's mindset is if you could study the system or study something, and you can find a way to sort of hack it. I don't know what sort of cheat it in a way. Yeah. So of all the years I've been doing filmmaking, the most valuable thing I learned is logistics. How to do something with this amount of money, or how we can like make this look expensive with this amount of money, or work with the resources we have. So I put that to the test for Super Psycho, and it was a really small budget. And
how much did you spend for that?
Well, was physical money we spent around $500,000, I think.
Which is really small.
That's really small, and it's actually big for like if I tell my friends, if I tell you like, oh, that's big, $500,000. But if you look at like films, that's really small, man.
Yeah, considering like the Cinema One grant at the time was 1 million pesos.
It started in 1 million. Now it's 3 million.
Now it's 3 million.
Yeah.
Oh, and then 1 million, and then you hear. I mean, I've heard stories of there are plenty of shoots that have gone over the 1 million.
Yeah, over the 1 million.
It's this weird
1 million
thing.
is really small, actually.
It's this weird thing because, like, you think filmmaking, let's the angling, the story, but like a huge part of it is really just management of of your budget, of the people.
I think filmmaking is like financially, it's like architecture. Because it costs so much, you have to be sure that it's good.
Yeah.
Not like a painting, you just make a painting and throw it away, or make a song. But kari kay sigurado jud ka, and you have to get the money to do it. Like Tarkovsky, like a great director, said, like, cinema is one of the most unhappiest arts because it depends so much with money. Yeah. So with this, since gamay siyang budget, we had the creative freedom to do anything. So mga siya, and it's cheap. We did it for $500,000 because a lot of the people who work pro bono.
Yeah,
I'm not gonna name them, but there were a lot who said, don't pay me na lang, because they know that I'm not gonna gain financially with this. It's more of a shot in the dark, a risk ba. So yeah, and thankfully nahuman na mo, and then it premiered in Binisaya Film Fest in 2016. And it was the first time like a narrative film premiered in Cebu.
You mean narrative film?
The first one was Escrimadores. It was a docu. But this one is like a narrative, like a story film. First time it premiered in Seaside. SM Seaside. And it was full too.
Most of the full-length films premiere in Manila, like the Cinema One stuff. Okay.
Yeah. And it was full too. Napuno ang screening, yeah. So, and since then, we've been showing it everywhere and anywhere that they would have us. Like Tanan Bar sa Cebu, naka-screening nami.
Yeah.
We've screened in Manila, we've screened in Jensan, actually, we've screened in Davao.
Which is one of the, I feel like, the luxuries of Superpsychocebu, because since you own it, you can screen it.
Yeah.
No? And then you can really meet the people who have seen the movie.
Yeah, I can actually meet my audience,
Yeah, and then you get to talk to them. And then, because I feel like, kind of like a lot of times like with the Cinema One, we're not bashing Cinema One or anything. It's just that's how it's structured. Like a lot of times these movies that aren't owned by the filmmakers don't, in many cases, don't get to see the people who actually see their film. I mean, they may, but like, they're not.
Yeah, you have to go out of your way to see it, or at least
unless it's a huge hit.
Yeah, huge hit, like Patay na si Jesus or something like that. Yeah. Oh well, credits to Cinema One though, because if they weren't around, I don't think we would exist.
Oh yeah, because
at least in this magnitude, ba? Because they're the ones who gave us a break. Because no other film grant would give a Cebuano film, money. They were the first one who did it, and has been consistent ever since. Yeah.
Yeah, well, I guess they also obviously it's worth it for them considering that the budget has gone up.
And mga Cebuano films, they're critically acclaimed, man. Most of them. So yeah, and actually nana may brand ng Cebuano film sa Manila. It's like lahi good. Maglahi kayong utok diri, which is understandable. Ako na notice it's very mga films sa Cebu are religious. I don't mean in a positive or negative way, but there's so much religious iconography or subject matter. Like my film and Patay na si Jesus and Miss Bulalakaw, and
I suppose, no?
yeah, because Cebu is like it's where Catholicism began in the Philippines.
Yeah, I guess with the whole Sinulog, the Santo Niño. Like
We're very religious here.
I really enjoyed. You guys have that short. I'm not sure who was the director who wrote it, but katong I forget na ganyan the name. Katong the premise is they steal the Santo Niño from the Basilica.
Operation Brutus. That's by Ara.
Brutus. By Ara, no?
Yeah, that one. Yeah.
I really like that one.
Yeah.
That one was really nice.
For that one, we really wanted to make it a fast-paced comedy because most entries in that festival, the Sinulog Festival, it's all crying and drama, and like faith and serious stuff. And I told Ara, like, if you're gonna make like a really funny, fast-paced, it's really gonna be really refreshing for the audience members who are watching like a marathon of heavy movies. So that's what happened when we screened non-stop ang katawa. Like, wapas na magkatawa, they missed the new joke already.
How did that do? Did it?
It won. It won. It won.
Yeah, I feel like actually, I noticed there's a theme with the way you guys have chosen how to do your films. No, in a lot of ways, it's easier just to be different than to be. I mean, obviously, you guys are good filmmakers. You have awards already. You have that award for Damgo Loteria, no? But there's something to be said about just being different.
Yeah, it's like any other art. You have to be original too.
Yeah.
And the way to do that is to be honest about your own experiences, diba? Like, your own experiences are your own. So if you like manage to transmute that into film, like akong nabandayan sa mga Kasaran film students, they make films out of films. They're more like homages, and I do this because I saw it. It's more like, they're too in love with film that they forget talking about life.
Well, I guess it's understandable because like if you're in music, the first things you learn are other
your
people's
influences.
songs. Yeah.
That's right. Yeah.
Diba? And then they're basically trying to recreate.
Yeah, they're finding their own voice.
I guess that's part of the process.
It's part of the process.
But speaking of film, so like you mentioned in Superpsychocebu, you had a very lean team.
Yeah.
So I guess you had the essentials. What are the essentials when you make like a film of that magnitude?
You mean you want me to enumerate my crew?
Sure. I'm really curious because, like, for example, I'm not really sure what a producer does.
Okay.
Okay.
Well, a producer is basically they that's their baby. Like the producer. If in the Oscars, the best film goes to the producer, not the director. That award
goes to the producer
because the producer does everything that the director doesn't do.
Okay.
Yeah, so the producer has to oversee the production, make sure things go smoothly, finds the money, looks for money, take care of the money.
Do they also have a say with who the cast is?
They could say, because they're in charge of selling the movie too. So they could say, please cast a known actor, so it's easier to sell this film. It depends on the project. So yeah, that's what the producer basically does. Like, that's their film. Their job is to make the director's job easier, in my opinion.
So in Superpsychocebu, who was the producer?
Me and Ara.
Okay.
So we were both the producers. And so
you were also directing.
I was directing, yeah, and Ara was production design.
Okay.
We have a thing, me and Ara, like whoever's the director. Like if she's the director, I am the cinematographer, or if I am the director, she's the production designer.
Yeah, must be nice having all that talent in one place.
Yeah. We argue a lot, but it's nice. It makes us better. So I got Roel Antipuesto to shoot cinematography for it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. He shot Patay na si Jesus, The Kusina Kings. He directed co-directed Confessional. He's actually our kuya in a way, because when we started, he was already like he was the one who taught us filmmaking. Like we shot shorts. Like I have a short ang Gugma ni Olivia. I don't know if you've heard of it. He shot that
Not
one.
sure.
That was the first short I ever tried to shoot.
Okay. I'm gonna try to find all of these films somehow, like
I can
their
give you copies
trailers.
of the one that I can legally give
okay.
you.
Oh, okay.
I have
Good
copies.
to know. No, but I
Yeah.
meant like for the listener, like I'm gonna look for. I'm sure there's like trailers or something of most of these films online somehow. If I can find them, I'll put them in
Yeah.
the show notes.
Yeah.
No?
There's the ones we have online. I can send you the links.
Okay.
Actually, I uploaded all our shorts online, but I took it out because I think we could still show it in screenings. But, like for example, our screenings and Nashi opening film, but we could still.
Oh yeah. Well, I don't
Use
know.
it.
I feel like if you put it online, that doesn't mean that
Yeah, I know.
everyone will see it.
Yeah,
Or at
yeah.
least if people.
Maybe I'll put it up again. Like we have like 3 hours worth of short films.
Oh really? Oh.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Let me know if you do. I'll put it in the show
Yeah.
notes.
That's another thing. That's another thing to promote because it's it's sort of a history of Cebu.
Yeah.
Like before we started features, we made these, and they were like
Well,
tape
I think one of the we haven't touched on this, but like one of the really important things about film is it's really a stamp of what it is like to be living in a certain area
Yeah.
at that point in
Yeah,
time.
yeah.
No?
It sort of gives you, if you see your own culture or your own language on the silver screen, it sort of gives you self-esteem. Na, okay, may data or dili tabaduy. Our
Yeah.
culture is worth watching. You know,
No, I
it's
get excited.
entertaining.
I get excited when I see the Philippines in a movie.
In a movie,
You know?
yeah. And the movie's actually good.
Yeah,
you know?
diba?
Yeah.
Well, anyway, let's go back. So, like, so making a film, who are the essential
And
people?
we have for Super Psycho, so we had a sound recordist. So he had the boom and the lapels, and he does the recording. It's Nicolas Varela. You know him? He's Kulas?
Kulas, yeah.
Kulas, yeah. So, and I have our gaffer is the guy who sort of takes care of the lights or everything else.
Okay.
And si Jandro Asuncion is like my gaffer ever since. So that's
So
basically the
lights-
crew,
lights
man.
na siya.
Yeah, lights and everything else. Sort of
What do you mean everything
since
else?
like if we need to carry some equipment, you know, grip
Okay.
work, yeah. We multitask because we're so small.
Bitaw.
Yeah, and Ara is the production designer and babysitter at the same time. So
You have
that's
kids,
basically
when you were shooting.
yeah.
that?
Malaya was already
Amo ba?
born. Yeah,
Oh,
when we were
wow.
shooting. Yeah. He knows that film so well because he grew up like me editing it.
Oh, really?
He's so sick of it now.
So wait. So when you were shooting it, aside from the actors and actresses, of course,
That was
It's-
basically my core team, the one I mentioned to
so
you.
it's a videographer, the cinematographer,
Yeah.
gaffer, sound guy,
and me and,
and
Ara
director.
and the
and
production.
then the production. So
Yeah,
just
plus
the five
the
of you.
actors.
And the actors, of
Yeah,
course.
so that's like 6 or 7 people.
Which is really lean.
That's really
compared
lean,
to,
yeah.
I don't know, another set. Like I know sets like
But they're really big,
they
yeah.
hire somebody just to take care of the
In
talent.
Iberia, man, like there was one day that there were 70 of us.
Really?
And I was making a film with strangers. Like I don't know who these people are. You know?
70 people?
Like
how does it balloon from? Why does
Because
it balloon?
for the last day we had so many unshot scenes. It's called remnants. So we had to hire more people to help us for that day.
So like they were doing their own shooting while you were
Yeah.
doing shooting.
Yeah, we had there
there
was
more-
2 groups actually shooting. Like I had Rempton on that day to shoot the different scene for me so we could finish it. Because we hired actors from Manila and we couldn't afford to fly them back.
Yeah.
So we had to shoot all the scenes in that day. So it took 36 hours for that day to end.
Oh.
So yeah.
So that's how it ballooned in
and
terms
ballooned
of
with that.
crew.
And I don't like the feeling like, you know, usually when I make films with the shorts, I know the crew members intimately, like we're on the same page. But when you see strangers on your set, it's weird.
Mm.
You know, but I think that's where we're heading if we're gonna make like big mainstream films. If we ever get the chance to do that, you have no choice but to really hire a lot of people since the scale is bigger.
Yeah, I mean, well, if you just watch a Hollywood film, there's the ending credits
Yeah,
goes
I know.
on
Yeah,
for
forever.
10 minutes
Yeah,
sometimes.
and you don't have the time to know all of those people.
Oh yeah. Yeah,
Yeah,
it takes a village.
yeah, but
No?
then it's hard. It's harder to manage. Like sa Super Psycho, wala dyan drama. You had no drama.
Which is what, but Mona, because of course you had the luxury of doing it on your own, and everything. But your the struggle is different as a known. The struggle is you don't have somebody to lean on to push this film to audiences. Like you have to
Yeah,
do it
yeah, yeah.
yourself.
That's the con of it because we showed Super Psycho in Q Cinema. That's another film festival in
Mm.
QC, and I didn't have the network, man. I didn't have like the name or it was hard to get people to watch outside of the people who saw it in online. So so I went there. Like people really were watching the films in competition because they had marketing.
Yeah.
So for mine, wala gyud napuno. But for the
Mm.
people who watched it, they were pleasantly surprised.
Ilang hours at
Yeah,
sila.
yeah. There was
Yeah.
this one girl who gave me one big cookie that said, "Congratulations, Superpsychocebu."
Yeah,
Yeah.
alam nga
I'm
niya.
like, am I gonna eat this?
I was
So I gave it to the cast, and they had a party with that cookie.
Without?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, because like you mentioned like Ara's film Miss Bulalakaw. So that's Cinema One, no?
Yeah, Cinema One. Yeah.
So like they've been filming that. They've been showing it.
Yeah, they've been showing it.
Like how
Like there's
how does
some
it what's the difference between you doing it or a Cinema One doing it?
in Manila there are a lot of alternative cinemas.
Yeah.
They're like movie theaters, but they don't show what's showing in the mall, and mostly they show Filipino indies.
Ah, okay.
Yeah, there's a lot of that. In also siya sa Manila, it's growing. I wish there was one in Cebu because that really helped the scene. And mostly dito mag-screening, like different mini theaters.
So Cinema One na murag I guess they have a deal with the theater.
Yeah,
and
deal with the theaters.
So they just choose.
And the thing with Cinema One, as it went, the filmmakers got more percentages. Like Ara got a lot of money out of Miss Bulalakaw because I think she gets I don't know how much percent. So yeah,
Like revenue.
revenue like yeah.
But
But during like sa times sa Eleuteria, I don't think Rampton would get anything. Okay, dili pa kayo updated ang contract ato.
yeah,
Yeah.
I guess the contracts got better.
Yeah, they got
as-
better as we got
the
along.
years went
Yeah,
along.
went along.
'Cause,
So
well, I mean, like, I'm sure they can. Obviously, Cinema One is making good money because the budget also keeps getting bigger and bigger.
yeah.
So they can see there's value in getting these directors.
Yeah. And the thing about
Do
Cinema
it.
One too is they give you creative freedom.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. So they give you money, but most of the time they say like do whatever you want. If they trust you.
So no, so Manila has that infrastructure. They have these like indie films.
Yeah,
I mean, cinemas.
Yeah.
No. Okay. Because here in Cebu, like if you want to, because obviously there's no other places to go for cinema except to the malls,
Mhm.
correct?
Yeah.
And then the malls, there. How does that work? There's a fee.
Expensive.
Is there? Yeah. Like what is
Yeah,
it?
it's-
What's the process there like?
If you're gonna rent a mall theater, expensive gud lang kuan. Mas mahal na lang rates.
Hmm.
And it's not feasible. Like maybe it's not feasible. Dili jud ka makabawi even if you sell it out.
What are the rates? Like
I don't know, I forgot. I think there was a time na 30,000 ang sa kuan.
like just to film, just
Just to show.
just one showing?
One showing.
Really?
Yeah.
Just one showing.
And the thing is, kana mga nag-screening diha, mga Star Cinema and whatnot, lahi lang deal. Their deal is sharing.
Mm.
Oh.
So if
So,
you're an independent-
so if for us, if na mag-screening dito sa SM Royala, nga one lang rent, if that makes money or not, they don't go, and it doesn't matter. They just get the cuts, and that's why some films that don't make money, they take it
They
out.
take it out right away.
But if you're gonna rent a theater, dili siya feasible dyan.
So the 30K is the rental.
Rental,
You're not even sure if it's 30K, but
yeah,
it's
you're
like
not even
this
sure
big
if
amount.
people are gonna come. You're just gonna rent the theater out, and not to mention the amusement tax in Cebu is high.
Tama ba?
Yeah, kuan. A long time ago, si Bong Revilla passed a bill nga tanan amusement tax of Philippines would be reduced to 10%. And that's actually the reason why ni boom ang indies in Manila, because 10% now we can risk more, no? And diri man good, I think na kaso si Tomas Sauna, the mayor sa FDCP, and he won it, and because of that case, 30% ang amusement tax sa Cebu.
Really?
So even concerts, it's hard for concerts to come here and make money.
Is anything being done to change that right now?
I don't know. I'm hoping one of the netizens would like comment on his Facebook page about that. Yeah, I don't know. When he won that, I don't think he thought also that this will fuck up mga indie filmmakers in the future.
He probably wasn't thinking about that.
So
in those times. Because I think if somebody, in all fairness, he seems to be the type of he listens to the people.
Yeah.
No?
Yeah. But I'm leaving Cebu, so I'll let some other filmmakers do that.
So let's talk about that. So, you've made 2 full-length films in Cebu.
Yeah, Cebu.
You've been part of a lot more than 2
I was
full-length
thinking,
films.
I was thinking about that recently, about my 2 films. And I realized nga it's so Cebuano nga kuan. It's my sort of take of my commentary of what Cebu is. Like for Iberia, it's my commentary of how Cebu is a terminal. It's a terminal island.
Yeah, I think I forgot to do this. So the story of Iberia is this guy comes into Cebu, diba?
It's about 4 people, and it's Phil Am who wants to live in Cebu.
Okay.
And there's Cebuano who's a drug dealer.
Yeah, Kulas.
Si Kulas, yeah. And he's the son of a congressman. And there's an escort from Manila who came to Cebu. And there's like a nurse from Davao who went to Cebu to work. So it sort of reflects how Cebu is it's sort of a terminal island. Everybody goes here to stop over. So you meet all kinds of people here, but they're temporary. And I wanted to show that, like, here are 4 people who can exist in this island, and they bump into each other. And Super Psycho is another commentary on Cebu and how it's a university city. Really, when I think about my best times in this island, I had a good time during college, and even now, like I'm a filmmaker, and most of the people who are interested in this are college students.
Yeah.
And people come here to go to universities and then
it's a university town.
Yeah, it's a university town. So that was my university film in a way. And
in the beginning, it's like it's a student film by Christian Linaban.
Yeah. That's sort of an inside joke. Like, people who know me, you're making a student film. But it really is a student film. It's like, if there was a genre that's a student film, like if you look at most student films, it always starts with a character waking up in the morning.
Oh, okay.
There's always like a fourth wall break. And they talk about philosophy. I've been exposed to a lot of student films, and there are some constants. Like,
so you embraced it for
I embraced
Psycho.
it. Like,
So,
I took the cliches and put it in my movie.
so you're looking at the 2 films, and then somehow it represented Cebu in those ways, and then.
Yeah. So. Yeah, I just wanted to comment on that. And I want to plug, by the way, that I'm probably going to shoot another feature next month.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because when me and Ara decided that we're going to leave Cebu, because I have a script that's set in Cebu. And so we decided, like, before we leave, we'll just shoot for one last time next month. So right now we're casting for that film.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, it's called Balay Balay. So hopefully it'll push through and we could shoot it next month.
So you guys will, same as Super Psycho in a sense, you'll own the rights and everything.
Yeah.
Full length gihapon.
Actually, I plan to do it in one long take.
One long take.
Yeah. So just one day of shooting, and maybe like a couple of takes that night.
Well, it's worked before.
Yeah, it's worked before. Yeah. Oh, it's also a lot of work before the shoot.
Yeah, it's a lot of work before the shoot. That's right.
Yeah. So
Okay. So before you leave, so that's what you'll be working on. No?
yeah.
Cool.
It's infidelity film. That's the genre, like mga No Other Woman, The Mistress, that kind of genre. So I put a twist on it.
Anybody? Nothing concrete yet on who's in
Yeah,
there,
we're
right?
casting it. Actually, if you're listening to this and you're an aspiring actor or actress, send your resume over to Panumduman.
Where Panumduman?
You could send it to panumdumanpictures@gmail.com.
Sige.
Send your resume, yeah.
Yeah, but well, just to let you know, it'll come out probably a month from now.
yeah.
No? But anyway, never know.
Yeah,
And
never
then-
know, yeah.
So, so you're moving to Manila.
Yeah, well, I've resisted it for a while because when you look at it, I look at the scene here, like most of our directors live in Manila now.
Yeah, I guess all of the directors.
All
that
of
you
the
mentioned
director,
in this
yeah.
podcast.
Keith, Victor, even Roel is working there now. Remton is still based here, but you rarely see him here because he's always working there. So it's about time that me and Ara took the hint, and we've sort of hit a wall here because last year we did Binisaya. We hosted Binisaya last year, and we tried to make it really big. We showed in SM and Ayala to see if people are really ready for this, to make Cebu films mainstream. And even though it was successful, it didn't reach our expectations, and I feel like we've hit a wall here. Maybe the next level is to go to Manila.
Yeah.
And Ara is in touch with some studios, with Star Cinema and Globe, and instead of paying a plane ticket to have a meeting with them, we just live there, and see how it goes.
Well, you can't. Of course, you can't. We can't fault you said for going with that because that's where the industry is right now.
Yeah.
And then.
And
as
we have
you've-
2 kids, so we can't just play around anymore.
And then as you've discovered, I guess through your experience with the movies here, kanang there's the infrastructure isn't there.
Yeah, isn't there. Yeah.
I mean, I just
Even like
discovered
the perception, there's a lot of people who don't know we exist, and once they know we exist, they automatically expect it to be bad. There's the whole baduy ang Bisaya, or maybe there's also a lot of people who are used to Hollywood movies. No, it's clean package, no surprises, and that cannot understand this kanang film as art in a way. So that's one of our kuan here. I mean, that's everywhere, but especially here, gamay mo ng Cebu.
yeah, well, population alone in Manila
yeah.
is more than
Yeah, I know.
4 or 5 times in
Yeah,
Cebu. So even if you get a small percentage of that,
Yeah.
you'll still
Even if you get a niche, then you're good, right?
It's still a much bigger industry, ba?
Yeah.
Like you were mentioning, they have indie cinemas
Yeah, they do.
there,
Yeah.
which surprised me. I'm like, oh, really? So
Yeah. And a lot, but good.
yeah,
Yeah.
so even just that ba nga murag the city there can sustain something like that,
Yeah.
no?
And
Because
there's actually nagkuan gid sila ang infrastructure sakto ka. They have critics and kuan a lot of film festivals. The support system is there.
Yeah, because I mean, I'll tell you the truth. I don't get to watch a lot of Tagalog movies.
Yeah.
Just because
Me neither, actually.
Oh yeah. But the point, but the truth is that's a real industry.
Yeah,
That's,
that is.
That
yeah.
is an industry with people.
It's actually, they're saying it's another golden age of cinema in the Philippines because
ba?
of the surplus of films. Daghan kay
okay.
films jud karon. Uso gid siya. Yeah.
Yeah, and then because people watch the local films.
Yeah, they
a lot of
watch.
people watch the local films.
Because there's an audience. Yeah. For a long time, we've been trying to build the audience in Cebu because that is really our business in a way, is our audience.
Yeah.
So, I think Cebu has a long way to go sa audience building. Although naana siya, there are some people who watch, but it's still a niche, and a niche in Cebu is small.
Yeah, for
Yeah,
sure.
yeah.
Okay, if you stayed here, well, like what kind of work is usually here in terms of like
Yeah. Mapugos yung kag freelance there eh. And the what usually happens to the crew here is either one, they go to Manila because mas nindot ang life dito. There's shoots every day. Or they take a normal job, and that means they can't be part of shoots anymore. Because that's erratic schedule, like mag-shoot ta aning a week, But if you're in a normal job, di na ka makagawas. So we have a lot of good crews that we lost to jobs, to 9 to 5 jobs. Yeah.
Yeah, because, well, I mean, I don't want it to be too doom and gloom, no? Pero, no, but the truth of the matter is that the talent goes where the industry is.
Yeah.
No?
Yeah.
Because if that's what you want to do, spend your time doing,
yeah.
do it for a living.
Yeah. Yeah, if you look at the history of Hollywood too, like film started in New York or at the East Coast, but the laws weren't favorable. So they moved to California because mas kuan ang laws dito sa filmmaking.
Oh, really?
That's how it started, yeah.
Oh, okay.
So same here, like kuan mas sustainable.
Now it's like they're shooting. They're not even shooting in LA anymore, right? Like they're all going.
Yeah. But that's how it started, Hollywood. Yeah.
Interesting.
So yeah. So bye Cebu. bye 032.
Well, no, you're.
Yeah, but I had I mean, I grew up here, and I might retire here, if it's still good, if it's not a wasteland when I return.
No, but but there is a good track record of filmmakers from Cebu going to Manila, and then doing really good work. Like we mentioned, like Victor Villanueva, for example.
Yeah.
No.
Ara is in touch with Star Cinema too. I don't know. We'll see how that goes.
Yeah, there's a lot of
and mabuhi juga dito. Like if you get one movie in Star, I think dako na siya budget. Yeah.
Yeah, I knew that Victor must have been doing really well na kay.
He's been there for like a decade na siguro. Dugay na siya dito.
Yeah. Long.
He's paid his dues. Yeah.
But for me, kay Murag, I was like, oh, he must be doing really well because like my mom wants to watch it. When it reaches that audience of Murag, hey, Carl, have you heard of this Patay na si Jesus? I'm like,
that's a game changer actually. Like ever since Patay na si Jesus, when you talk to like businessmen or mga financiers, mas maminaw na sila. Not like before, like si Bisaya nga film, there's no money there.
Oh yeah.
But because of that,
because that was the nice thing about Patay na si Jesus was that number one, it was shot here. Like it was.
Yeah, it was shot here.
We were Cebu and Dumaguete, of course, was clearly part of the script.
The script, yeah.
It was.
And the humor was Bisaya. Yeah.
It was very much a Bisaya film, which was of course I like.
And it's a family film too, so that's a lot of ang market and it's big.
Bitaw. Yeah. So, Bay, I'm glad that we were able to talk before you move to Manila, before you get busy with this. I'm excited to see this film that you're gonna eventually shoot before you leave.
Yeah, hopefully it pulls through. Yeah. It depends on the cast. It's tricky because nashay paka-erotica, so we're looking for daring actors and actresses.
Oh yeah, like see the girl who played the girl in Superpsychocebu.
Yeah, si Angelica.
Yeah.
Well, that was wholesome actually. There was no nudity.
I know, but but like what I'm saying is, so when I saw the trailer, I didn't know it was her.
Yeah.
I know Angelica, but I mean, if you know her in real life, she's a totally different.
Yeah,
at least from my perspective, a totally different person. So I saw the trailer. I was like, oh okay, like they got this girl to do it, and then I saw the credits. Oh, si Angelica Manday. And then I think I saw her like a day or two before we screened it.
Yeah.
I was like, "Oh, we're watching your movie," and then she's like, "Oh, she doesn't want to go anymore to any screenings because every time she goes, like eventually somebody always goes like Superpsychocebu."
Yeah, I heard that. Actually, the first time I met her, she went in front of me and said Superpsychocebu.
Oh yeah.
because Ara put her into it because we were looking for an actress to play it, and we were having a hard time finding one. And Ara found her, and ningingnan nga, hey, say whisper Superpsychocebu to that guy. So she went to me and said Superpsychocebu. I'm like, and then Ara came and like, oh, what do you think? And okay, I said, okay, we'll try to audition you.
Ah, really?
Yeah.
Yeah, the casting is super important, no?
Yeah,
When making a movie.
Yeah. That was the last person we casted, the girl, because she wasn't part. Okay, barkada man sila, di ba? Of course, they didn't have any women in their barkada. So we were looking for a, kasi game, and we even put like willing to do raunchy scenes. And when she saw the cut and she nga, Amoram Dana, she was probably expecting a lot more daringness. And I even blurred the part where she showed her skin. So it was actually Super Psycho is pretty wholesome for a Christian Linaban film.
Oh.
Yeah, like Aberia had some nudity and a lot of drugs. That was really taboo. That film.
Yeah, Iberia was very.
The
I
whole
mean, based on the trailer.
the whole point of it was the subject matter was everything taboo, like religion, drugs, sex. So money, so everything taboo. I put it in that film. It was the theme. So and in comparison, Super Psycho is pretty wholesome.
Yeah,
it's actually good for kids, except for the weeds.
except for the weed.
Yeah, but like Malaya used to like it. I mean, he doesn't get bored because the characters are so animated. Yeah, it's and there's little conflict. It's always like chill. If there's conflict, you can laugh about it afterwards. It's just a joke,
Well,
So
we're about there in in an hour. Anything you want to talk about that we may have missed?
let me think. What other hugots do I have?
Okay. Like when we watch Super Psycho Cebu, it's fun because it's a trip.
Yeah,
It's really
literally a trip.
Yeah, because number one, I can appreciate that it's very easy to follow in a sense.
Yeah.
No?
It's really the simpler man kaya yung story.
Yeah, simple kay siyang a
But
story.
it's more about the characters.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah. I mean, in film, I'm more of a like since I'm a musician, diba? I make movies the way I make music. Like I don't really have a message. I'm not trying to say anything. It's more like it's not about I have something to say. Rather, I have something to feel. So when I make up stories, they're mostly like kuan lang lyrics in a way. So it's really more of the whole effect. Like for me, film is like music that it's because of time. It's a progression of emotions.
Yeah.
So there are a lot of films that I like, but I don't understand because it made me feel something. So for me, that's how I make films. Like I focus on the form more rather than the script. Although the script is important, but for me the melody is better. Like I watch a movie and I can tell within 5 seconds if I'm gonna like it. The way it's presented, the way it's like the melody is presented in a way.
When you say melody, I know what
Like,
you're talking about
yeah,
in terms
yeah,
of
yeah.
music, but in terms of the film,
Like the craft behind it, like the non-verbal element of it. That's what I mean.
like the look, what it feels like.
Yeah,
in
what
a
it
way
feels like. Yeah.
when you watch it.
Like for example, if in literature you read about a guy who goes into a room, right? You imagine a guy going into a room, right? But in a film, it's not about a guy going into a room. It's about that guy, that specific guy, going in this specific room at this specific time, and how that makes you feel. It's different, as opposed to when you imagine it. So, yeah, for me, film is really more closer to music. Yeah. Ara is different actually because her background is theater, and for her the script is really
That's the key.
thing. That's the key, yeah. Which is healthy for us because we're opposites and we can complement each other.
Film on good is this. It's there's so much needed just to make it work. Like I noticed
It's a combination of all art forms.
Yeah, because one of the things that I noticed while researching a little bit was a lot of the filmmakers, they've done they wear many hats, no? Like, ato, like in ang Damgo ni Eloteria, you were the videographer, you were the cinematographer, no?
That's
But
right.
you're also a director,
Yeah.
diba? It's not like kanang if I wasn't familiar with the scene at all, I would have just assumed nga more, okay, this person is because it's how it is like in Hollywood,
Yeah.
diba? Like
Now, what's your job? You stick to that.
yeah, that's your
Yeah.
job. Like
I used to joke that I'm a third world filmmaker, so I know everything.
yeah. Well,
And it's because
you
you're in
are a
Cebu
third
too.
world filmmaker.
Yeah, I am. So you have to learn everything, especially if you're a director. For me, like a director has to be a jack of all trades because you need to know how to do all the things that your crew is doing at some extent, so you can monitor it better. So I even tried acting, so I can know what it feels like for an actor and how to direct them. So, muna siya. And since when I started, there wasn't much people who are into film, so I was forced to do everything. Like if I had editor that I can trust, then I would hire him or work with him. But before, I couldn't trust any editor that I could
Oh, yeah,
find here in
we haven't
Cebu.
even talked about that, the post production
Yeah, it's a different thing.
portion of it, where
Post production.
like they say that editing basically makes the movie sometimes.
Yeah. There's a saying, pre-production is seduction, post-production, production is sex, and post-production is pregnancy.
Oh.
Yeah. So,
So yeah, so you edited Maday Super Psycho, that's right.
yeah, and Aberia also. I sort of
And Aberia.
edited everything. I do everything except sound. Sound is my weakness. And I have a good sound team. Cebu Post Sound. They're trained in Bigfoot, so their standard is Hollywood. And I think, in my opinion, I think they're really good. They're better than Manila, in my opinion, because I haven't heard like.
Bigfoot, nasa na siya dako nga katabang ang Bigfoot.
Yeah,
like,
in a way, it's sort of like a magnet. Like I met most of my peers in Bigfoot because everybody, when Bigfoot came out, Ramos pa to at the time. So everybody who was interested in film and filmmaking went there, and dito may nag-abot. And there was a time where dili pwede magbisaya. It's all English films.
Really?
Like, so if you have a fisherman in your story, it has to be an English fisherman.
Weird rules.
So yeah. So because of that, mermaid ka nang, let's do a film outside of Bigfoot. And that's where it started.
Wait, you joined Bigfoot for a while?
There was a time I worked for the IFT. Yeah. And that's where I met Roel actually. He was like he was the equipment bearer. And there was a time si Kula said he was like the cage guy and he was in charge of the equipment.
Okay.
Yeah.
Pero like, so you were mentioning that, that it was a very small community back then. Because, like, these names that you've mentioned, like, a lot of them I haven't met.
Yeah.
But they keep coming up
Yeah,
again and again and again because
And-
they're the ones making the films.
Yeah, and I'm actually a little frustrated because outside from us, nobody's been making feature films. Dangan kay, like Cebu has three film schools here. That's a lot. That's a lot considering we don't really have a big industry here.
Yeah.
So every year there are unemployed, students that we have to compete with, and mas barato pa ni sila namo. Segue na ko. What were we talking about again?
No, yeah, but I want to do that because I want to ask. My next question was going to be what's gonna considering that. Okay, everybody that we mentioned in the podcast, they're going to Manila. You guys are joining them. What about now? What about the filmmakers left here?
like wala na ni sunod na mo. Nobody made a feature.
Wala pa, really?
Wala pa. Like I think our new blood that made a feature so far is Ara and Patrick. But aside from that, we're not. I was nagbalik-balik na ba? Like si Keith is making his 5th film, I think, this year. Rampton has 4 films or 3 films, I think. And there should be new blood. And that's what we keep telling people here who are sad that we're leaving. It's time for other filmmakers to step up in Cebu. Take the mantle.
I wonder why that is. Do people because are there short films coming out?
There are a lot of short films. There's a surplus
films.
of short films. Like Binisaya is a short film contest, so every year there's a batch of short films.
You know what? Nobody just hasn't reached out to cinema. It seems like Cinema
think-
One was like a big catalyst in all of this. Mansad.
Yeah, it is. I think I don't know. Your short has to be really good to to get attention. Like, you know Kenneth Nagatan.
No.
No, he's from, what band is that? I forgot the name of his band. But he made a short that made it in Cinemalaya Day.
What's it called?
Santissima. It's like
Okay.
a horror. And he's graduate siya sa USC. And that was his thesis film. Nasud sa Cinemalaya. It was really successful. And right now, he just finished shooting a film with Star Cinema, I think.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And that's his first film, Dako Kayo.
Full length, ana.
Full length, yeah.
So this is a young
But it's
kid.
Tagalog, it's not Bisaya.
Okay, sige lang.
Yeah.
Sanay.
But he's like a graduate from a film school in Cebu, and now he's making a feature there.
So he went straight to Manila.
He went straight to Manila afterwards. Yeah. He didn't even try to make a Bisaya feature.
Maybe that's why, because there's they just know that there's no industry and it's just harder to do it.
Yeah. And for a first film, dako kaya ang budget. I think
yeah?
he has the biggest first film budget.
Really?
Yeah, but I heard.
Wow, that short film really, Murag, that's really important, no?
That's really important. Yeah, that's your like calling card.
It really is a calling card.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, one of the things that I want, Manggod, with this, with the podcast, because I'm talking to all of these creatives, is I want to show a community is needed. If you want some good stuff to come out, if you want them to stay here, there has to be an attempt in forming a community that can sustain these the art.
I think it's growing, but we're just too impatient.
Oh yeah, no,
it's
I
growing.
understand.
It's growing.
I totally understand.
Compared to when we started to now, grabe na kayo, in na kayo filmmaking. Before we were like, people thought we were crazy. Like we're making Bisaya movies. Where will that go? You know, asang exposure ana. And karon kay normal na siya. Indie. Which I hate that word, by the way.
Indie?
Yeah, I want to talk about that, indie.
Oh, sige, go. What's wrong with the word indie?
Okay, history. The word indie, it comes from independent film, right? Because before, it really was film, so it's really expensive to make movies because you use film, not digital. So only studios can afford to make films before. So if there was a company outside of a studio that tried to make film, they were called independent films, right? So that was taken for years up until the 90s. Dayon, ang hitabo noon, pag-abot diri sa Philippines, or ang indie nga term karon, if you say indie, ang musud sa hunahuna kay kuan, low budget, or kanang bad movies or kanang badly done movies, or
that's not my instinct. Pero sige, I guess
well,
that's
the kuan, more of perception to lay people who don't watch it. And ang problem ana is kuan, like for example Cinema One, they're called indie.
Yeah.
But when you think about it, they're a studio. So
wait, Cinema One is considered indie?
People say they're indie because low budget manggod.
Wow, okay.
Diba? When you say like Eleuteria,
okay.
that's indie, diba? Kay gamay mag-budget. So I hate that people, when you say indie, you think low budget dayon. General Luna is indie because they're not made by a big studio. But the budget was really big, 80 million, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's an example of an indie nga dakong budget.
Okay.
So
indie, quote unquote.
Indie, yeah, because they're not a big studio. They're not under ABS or GMA, you know. So muna na ang kuan, ang perception ng mga tao sa indie is like gamay budget, walay sikat, you know, talks about depressing stuff. But when you think about it, ang kuan, like there are a lot of kuan. It really depends on who's making it. That's what indie is.
I think you're frustrated with the sentiment attached to the word indie.
And my problem with it too is more like atheist in a way. Like an atheist, the word exists dependent on religion. You know, like if you don't believe in religion, you're an atheist.
Yeah.
And ingon si kuan Neil deGrasse Tyson, like if I don't do golf, am I a golf atheist? So in a way, the word atheist sort of serves the religion. Like you know, if you're not here, then you're an atheist. So it's sort of like under
If the word religion did not exist, then the word atheist would
so
not exist
atheist
as
is
well.
more of a derogatory term. Like, since you're not part of this. You're like a golf atheist or something like that. So in a way, if you're not a studio, you're indie. So in a way, it serves the studio. Kasabot ka. Like, when you say indie, oh, that's inferior to a studio. Basically, mo na yung hunahuna ditso. That's why I don't like using it. And another reason why I don't like using it, because there's no film that's purely independent, because you need to get your money back, you know?
Yeah.
Unless you're making like a really expensive home video, then that's an indie film. So,
which have been done, by the way.
yeah, it's been done. Yeah, I know some people did that. I work on some projects like that.
I'm sure.
And I actually joke around when we're shooting that, like, this is a real indie film. Like, he's spending millions just to show it to his family. Yeah. So, mana siya. I don't like the word indie. I like self-reliant better, you know. Yeah.
I tend to not generalize in those terms. Like, even with music,
but it's cinema, you know, it's movies.
Yeah, even with music, I try not to kanang put it, unless it's like, unless you're like comparing like pop and rock, for example. I'll generalize in that sense, but I can't go as far as to say like this is, I don't know, like indie pop rock, whatever. Like, I understand it.
Yeah.
There's an image or a sound that comes to my brain, but I try not to. It's not that I try. I just generally don't think in those terms.
Yeah. It's different in music because there are a lot of genres, diba?
Yeah, but I'm sure like in movies as well, you can say.
Well, yeah.
Like movies, like, okay, obviously horror and romance is very different. But I think like people can, it's like
you can put them together.
Super nerds, super film nerds can be like, oh, this film is.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm not there.
But nobody listens to a song and thinks, oh, this is cheaply done. You know, or this was made by a...
I'll argue. I can argue.
I guess, yeah. Maybe for the local stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, now I like I have met a few.
Yeah. But the point is, it's easier to make a song, man.
Oh, for sure. Oy, grabe.
Yeah.
Than a movie.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, where can people find you if they want to catch you online somehow? You already gave the email address of. What is the name of the
Panumduman Pictures? So Panumduman Pictures at Gmail. You can email us there.
Yeah, so it's at like your, what is Panumduman Pictures exactly?
It's sort of my company. Yeah, so all those shorts that I did, I produced them. So I had to find like a name to
so
put.
It's under,
and because
umbrella.
of that, it's always it's always a title card. So it actually gained reputation through the years. Like, every time we have a film in Sinulog, like when we showed Prutas and Panumduman Pictures went out, people were like, oh. So there's brand recognition already. So yeah, I put that in almost every film I work with. So, but the ones we own are the shorts and Super Psycho so far.
Yeah.
So Panumduman Pictures. You can also reach us at our Super Psycho page. We have also a Panumduman page if you like. I'm not on Facebook, but Ara is. So if you wanna, I'm on Messenger, so you can also look for me in Messenger.
Well, no, Panumduman on Facebook.
Yeah, there's a Panumduman page.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I will look for that.
Although it's not active, the Super Psycho may active kayo.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I will link both in the show notes.
Yeah.
For sure.
Super Psycho is actually growing na. Like, people say, like, I'm meeting a person tomorrow because they want to show it. And sa chat, yung sila nga, so this is the guy who made the cult classic hit Superpsychocebu. I'm like, this is just 2 years old. The cult classic na yun.
No, but that's the thing. Once you make something about a very specific subject, that's very just different ba?
Yeah.
No, it's very easy to latch
and
on to.
I feel like zeitgeist na nakaroon. Like, natiming lang jud nga, there are a lot of pro marijuana groups here in the Philippines.
Oh, yeah.
Like, I get I get messages from all over the Philippines, from Butuan or all the obscure places. They want to see the film. And diba, you tried to boost it, but gamay ra kayo. Pero kung kami mo boost kita ka, nabod 1,000.
Where it's like it's your kind of niche audience na gyud siya.
Yeah, niche audience siya. So unintentionally, nahimo na nun ko more of like an activist on weed. I just wanted to show like a comedy film, but since sa mga Q&A, may gets atong Q&A, nobody brought it up. But there's a lot of people who want to talk about the legalization and the benefits and why we're doing it. Then that wasn't really my intention. I just wanted to do something like naughty and have people fun. But since I'm here now, I might as well give my opinion on the subjects also. So, muna siya, it's cool.
What is your opinion on the subject?
Well, if you look at the facts, it's
marijuana.
Yeah. It's a demonized plant and wala siya harmful effects. It's like a Schedule 1 drug. It's para siya sa Philippines a Schedule 1 drug. It's as dangerous daw as cocaine and shabu. But
which is not. It's not.
It's not. Like nobody has died from weed. People have been cured cancers and all types of medicine. And if you look at the history of weed, you know that the case that made it illegal was 90 testifying weed makes white women more susceptible to have sex with black guys. And
really?
The reason why it's called marijuana is because at the time, so 1930s, they wanted to ostracize Mexicans because marijuana is part of the Mexican culture, man. So they made it illegal. And the guy who ran a campaign to make it legal, see William Hearst, he owns a paper company, which means hemp is his competitor. And he owns a newspaper. So he ran a smear campaign na makadaot ang weed. So that's a century-long stigma. People thought, basta weed kay kuan, it's bad. From a drug man good, it's a drug once you take a drug, it soothes you, diba? But the price is too big to pay. Like mga tao magshabu sila because it makes them feel good, makes them productive. But the price to pay is too big. Kay ma-addicted sila. It makes them, deteriorate ng brain and makes them, do awful stuff. But ang weed, you take it, it's medicine. It makes you sleep better. It makes you creative. It alleviates depression. Dagang siya benefits ba? And the price to pay is, there's no price to pay. Because kung ma-overdose kag weed, you just have a good night's sleep. And Time Magazine published sila nga there are no long-term effects to weed. And nobody's ever died from it. There are more people who died of sugar and tobacco.
Well,
and
what
alcohol.
I like to compare it to is like alcohol. I mean,
alcohol. Yeah,
alcohol
example.
is, everybody knows. I mean, you drink a lot and then you feel it in your body.
Yeah, and it really destroys brain cells.
Oh. And then to be clear, like I've never, I've not really tried any of that.
Yeah.
No, but like because you grow up in a society that tells you it's bad for you, and you just believe what everybody says, and all of these things that's coming out right now.
Yeah. It really is. Like, isn't it peculiar? Out of all the drugs, there's this one drug a lot of people are lobbying to make legal. There's no other drug like that. Like, there are no people who are lobbying to make shabu legal or cocaine or whatever.
Oh, clearly bad drugs.
Clearly bad drugs, yeah. And the reason why it's still illegal because it's a weed, so it grows almost everywhere and fast too, so it's efficient. And you can make paper with it. You can make clothes. You can make building materials. You can make plastic. The first Ford car was made entirely out of hemp. Even the gas.
Oh yeah.
So if you make that legal, dagan kay maligsan nga industries. Yeah, and because it's more efficient because it grows fast. And ang number one gid gumuantay sa weed is the pharmaceutical industries because even cancer is such a big industry. And karon it can cure. It's been known to cure cancer.
I know
They
legit prescribe that.
Yeah, before, but now it really cures it, Jude. Ang sa una kay pangkuraman to, pang-cope sa chemotherapy. But now you don't have to do chemo. Like there are some cancers nga kaya good sa cannabis.
Oh yeah.
And not just that, it's sort of a miracle drug because bisan unsa maka cure siya. Even like they give children who have seizures.
Ah, yeah, seizures, diba?
Yeah,
They
yeah.
give that to them.
They
Yeah,
give
it
that
really
to see.
stops the
It really
seizures.
stops them, yeah.
Like you can see it, like when
Instant pa good,
instant.
yeah.
Yeah, it's instant.
Ang kuan nandaan ang industries sa pain relievers. Like
Oh yeah, that's
one
right.
puff, man, and it's gone. Your headache is gone. You know?
You know, they were saying that that problem that this is way beyond my depth now,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
like that there's an opiates, what's the
Opiates.
opiates
Yeah.
epidemic in the U.S. and a lot of that was caused because of the pain relievers because they were prescribed that, and then there it's an issue now because white people are affected. No, but like they're prescribed that, and then because they have a pain whatsoever, like they broke their arm or whatever it is, so they were prescribed these pain relievers that have trace elements of whatever opiate, no?
Yeah.
And then they got addicted to it.
That's still going on right now, you know.
Yeah, that's right.
Like
That's it.
Vicodin and all that stuff.
Wala,
Yeah.
that's what it is. That's what it is.
Yeah.
Good.
Kung aligay siya, it's hypocritical. It's like, you know, you only the tax drugs. Those
Well,
untaxed drugs, don't,
Well,
they're
the nice
illegal,
thing in the
you
U.S.
know.
now is that I think I may be wrong. On this,
Some
but
states it's legal.
I think
na.
there's a lot of states right now. It's legal.
Yeah,
it's
a lot,
more than
a lot.
Colorado at this point.
Yeah, but only Colorado and California legal siya recreationally.
No, there's a lot. Murag, I listened to a podcast.
Oh yeah.
They were talking about this very subject.
Yeah.
I think I was listening to it this morning or yesterday, and then it's moving. It's moving a lot
moving, yeah.
faster now. Like, Murag, it looks like Las Vegas is gonna
Yeah,
be
yeah,
there.
yeah.
Moto, because this guy is from Colorado. He's talking about
because
it.
when they legalized it in Colorado,
Grabe
nadato sila.
makaipon. Oh.
And plus they saw nga it's really harmless.
Yeah. I think the guy was saying like 1,500 people a month move to Colorado.
Yeah, yeah. They're called cannabis or what refugees because some people from other states they have like diseases but can all be treated by cannabis, so they can't have it on their state, so they transfer there. They're medical refugees.
Mo bitaw.
I saw.
Well, the nice thing about it that I've seen is that at least it's heading towards the right direction.
Yeah, yeah.
It's people
The thing
are
is,
more
a lot
aware.
of kanang companies are actually spending millions to anti-lobby it. Like I know the pharmacy industry is spending millions just to keep it legal. Ba?
Well, what the guy was talking about in the podcast was that what might happen is that these big pharmaceutical companies might actually buy the smaller kanang marijuana.
Yeah, but that's the thing. Di
No,
masali mo.
but they will be the ones selling
Yeah,
it.
selling
diba?
it, yeah.
They'll be like the Starbucks of weed.
Yeah, yeah.
So-
But the thing is, dili siya ma-monopolize because you can just grow it.
I guess. I don't
You
know.
can just grow it.
Well,
Unless there's a law like only we can sell weed, you know?
I mean, there are arguments to be made there because you could be like, Porshag food, like you
Yeah,
can
yeah.
make your own food, but
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
you still buy from McDonald's.
Yeah,
I mean,
it's
diba?
true.
So I don't know. I really don't
Yeah,
know.
yeah.
In fact, I know very little about that. No, but
But I
it's
know
just
there are a lot
interesting.
of like dispensaries.
For sure. No, but it's interesting. At least it's going in that. I like that it's going in the right direction. But obviously, in the Philippines, it doesn't seem like it's going in
The
that
president
direction.
said that he's open to it if it reaches him.
Yeah, mo bitaw. But Mona, at least we know it's heading in that direction.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But the sad thing is, like, we have a war on drugs, and cannabis is still part of that. So
bitaw.
think of all the people who got shot because of it.
Yeah. I mean, I'll tell you the truth. Like, one of the big reasons why I don't want to, like, I wouldn't mind trying it just to see. 'Cause I've
Yeah.
never tried. And then one of the reasons I don't want to do it is it's just plain illegal. Right
Actually,
now.
that's the irony. The only thing dangerous about cannabis is it's illegal.
Yeah,
That's
mobitaw.
it, man.
Mobitaw.
That's it.
Mobitaw.
That's
It's
the
just
irony.
because it's illegal.
Yeah,
So I'd be
yeah.
like, you know what? I've never done it. It's no big deal. I don't
Yeah,
feel
yeah.
like I've missed out.
Yeah, you might like seen a random drug test or something.
Oh yeah, or no, I don't know, but you just don't know what's gonna happen.
Oh yeah. Yeah,
Diba?
yeah. It's too bad because kanang it's beneficial. I think for me, I think it's beneficial.
Yeah, by one day if I have cancer, for sure I'm gonna.
Why wait?
Yeah, I don't know. Basta for sure,
Yeah,
I would.
yeah, yeah.
I would. Go
Dagan
for
naman
it.
daw, kuan, I heard that I don't know if I should say this, but nanay mga patients daw sa Philippines. Na kaya.
Well, I'll tell you off mic. But well, I think this is a good place to end
Yeah,
our
okay.
discussion
Yeah,
about
we'll keep on
marijuana.
talking after we cut.
All right. Thanks for talking. Bye.
Okay, yeah, it was a pleasure.
All right. I hope you enjoyed that episode, that conversation with Christian Linaban. Christian, if you're listening, we wish you all the best in Manila. I hope you guys continue to make more awesome movies. But that said, for those who are listening or staying or living in Cebu, we got to find ways to encourage more filmmakers to make films in Cebu, and more importantly, to stay in Cebu, man. We can't keep losing these talented creatives. Gotta keep them in our shores. But you go where the industry is, and if that's what you want to do for a living, all the best, Christian. All the best. So as mentioned in the intro, we're going to play a portion of the Q&A in the end of the podcast. So right after I speak, we're going to release the live Q&A that we recorded during the Superpsychocebu film showing that we hosted a few months ago. And there's some questions from the audience, some questions that I didn't think about or that were not addressed in the podcast. So it might be something you want to listen to. We're only posting a portion, but if you want to listen to the full Q&A, then I'm going to post that on our Patreon page. It's going to be at patreon.com/032, 032 in letters. And it's going to be available to Patreon members. And if you haven't yet, and if you enjoy what we do, and if you think what we do is important, I hope you find it in your heart to subscribe to our Patreon account. Even for as little as $1 a month, that is a huge help for us. And then for $5 or $10, we're going to start releasing 032 Conversations merch. I posted the possible designs on Patreon already, but I'm going to be sharing it on social media soon too. So you can just follow us on our social media accounts to check it out. Oh, and again, if you haven't yet, subscribe to 032 Conversations. If you want to hear more from us, if you want to just, so you don't have to go to the website and check if there's a new episode all the time. Just make it automatically download to your phone. Just subscribe. Download the podcast app, subscribe to 032 Conversations. And while you're at it, why don't you subscribe to my newsletter, Monday Musings, 032.com/Monday. Let's get to the Q&A, the live Q&A with Christian Linaban.
Yeah. So sit down, bye. Anybody want to ask any questions? Anything about the film?
I'd like to say have a shout out to any of the undercover cops in the house.
Oh, yeah.
You've been busted.
Okay, use this one lang, bye.
So yeah, does anybody want to ask a question?
Question?
Anybody? If oh, great, one here.
Did you enjoy it, by the way? Okay lang ba?
Yes.
It's good.
I would just like to ask if it was it really supposed to be a short film, or because there was a line na nakita na ko ang script niya, short film lang unta ni siya.
Okay. Backstory lang ng project. This is actually the first script I ever tried to write. This is around high school, college, so 2004, I think, I wrote this script. And by that, I wrote it with my friend Nicolo Manrial. And so we were college bums at the time. And we made this script that we really like, and then we didn't know how to make it. So I learned filmmaking because of this, actually. And we tried shooting this script, but at the time we were really amateurs, so wala na human. And yeah, at some point it was a short film. And I was going to cast my friends back then, so puro barkada, and I was supposed to play Jesus. And that's why nanang our role, because it's sort of an existential crisis to whether to make this film or not, or a short film ba siya. So that's muna ang origin sana.
Yeah, murag, we were talking earlier so he first shot the film with kana mga friends namo. So like I have some classmates here. Si Chester was supposed to be
She's supposed to be Pancho. I have footage
Chester's
of
like our batchmate. Some batchmates here. So like a friend of ours was supposed to be like mga barkada.
So we actually shot shot this film mga 15 years ago. Yeah. Ka-tape pa to panahon na.
Yeah, any other question? Anybody else want to ask? Oh, great. I'm not sure if the mic reaches there, so.
Hello. Is there a real strain called Superpsychocebu, or is it inspired by something else?
Okay. Superpsychocebu is fictional. But apparently what they call the weed in Cebu, ang slang is Psychocebu daw. Because it makes you paranoid or something. May strain diri. But then I mentioned this movie to like a pothead friend of mine, and he said, "Oh, katilaw ko ng Superpsychocebu ba eh. Sipa kaya na. So I don't know. Maybe because of this, they manifest siya.
Yeah, I'm gonna admit it's not my expertise. Any other questions? Great. One. Ari lang ba it's not that long.
There's a scene murag gadagan siya sa mga different views ba. Iya murag yung gilikayan. Is that the judgment of or the perspective of other individuals nga murag iyahang gidaganan from nga dili mo uyon sa iyahang perspective?
That's up to you, man. That interpretation is up to you, whatever. I think for me, the point of this film is like to make you think. So if you have your own interpretation, that's good enough for me.
Yeah, because I feel like the film masquerades as a stoner film. But Murag, if you really listen to the dialogue, then it's there's a lot of ideas there that are challenging, like social norms and that sort of thing. Any other questions?
Regarding that, this was written when I was in college, so it's a university film actually. And the thing about that age is, it's college is where your ideas are forged, where you start reading about philosophy and spiritual stuff. So that's the theme of this film. It's actually a college film, but it's Sunday school in a way. So that's why that's the theme of the film.
What do you mean Sunday school?
A lot of the subject matter is spiritual, So that's what I mean Sunday school.
Okay. Sige. Anybody else? Does anybody want to ask a question? Okay.
Were there some stoner films you kind of like got ideas from?
The first stoner film that I really loved it.
Okay, that was the end of the Q&A. If you want to listen to the full Q&A, subscribe to our Patreon account. That's patreon.com/032. See you guys next week. Cheers. Bye.